So clearly there's just a little bit of disappointment among investors and analysts with the stock down a few percentage points. Mark, is there anything that you can tell us about perhaps a potential partner?
Well, we have lots of discussions with partners, and that's one of the unique things about Nikola is that we have always been open to partnerships. We're very different from Tesla. People often compare us to Tesla. Tesla tries to do most things on its own. We, from the beginning, have said this is a huge undertaking. We're interested in partners who can bring resources and can help us succeed in this. So we've been looking for partners from the beginning, and you'll see more partnership announcements from us in the future. We're going to be a partner company.
So I guess, Mark, one thing it seems as though the market wants to hear is obviously partner names. Once you line up partners, how soon before we see a Badger in production and then on the road?
Well, as you mentioned, we are looking for a partner for producing the Badger. And depending on who that partner is, we'll get it on the road just as soon as we practically can. And we'll also announce that partner as soon as we have the legal ability to do that. We've made great progress on that front. And these are partners who can help us produce the vehicle very rapidly because they bring a lot of resources to the table on that front, a lot of credibility. People will be impressed by the name.
Well, it sounds like you already have somebody in place, Mark. Is this a car maker? Is it more of a technology company? Can you give us any idea of what these resources you speak of are?
It will be an original equipment manufacturer in the automotive industry.
All right, so what we know already. Okay, understood. Now, there are 2 overweights and 2 holds on the stock. Very, very positive when you think about it all told. Can you give us an idea of how many customers you'd be anticipating and how soon?
Well, the reason we did this, and it's kind of a cool story, we hadn't planned on building a passenger pickup truck until the Cybertruck was unveiled by Tesla, and so many people were disappointed with that. It's a polarizing design. Some people love it. They've got lots of reservations for it. More power to them. But some people didn't like it, and they said, "Hey, couldn't you guys do something like that?" And when it so happened that we had a concept, and we just threw it out there. Trevor just tweeted it out there and said, "Here's a concept that we've actually done before," and people went nuts for it. We had, I think. We opened up our website for people to come in and just raise their hand and fill out a form and say, "I'd be interested." And we had 89,000 people do that. You know, these are non-paid reservations. They're indications of interest, but we had 89,000 people do that in a relatively short period of time. And that's what attracted the attention of some OEMs, and that's what got us thinking that we might want to build it. So that's progressed very rapidly to the point.
How many of those reservations, Mark, can we realistically expect to see turn into sales?
Well, we can't disclose that now because we're close enough to this thing that we're in a quiet period about it. But more information forthcoming. We're hoping to do a Nikola World that will be largely focused on the battery, on the Badger in December. And there'll be more information forthcoming.
Now, there are plenty of mom and pop shops in the US trucking fleet. Mark, do you want to make yourselves attractive to them? How will you do that?
Well, in the heavy truck part of the business, where we're making semi-trucks for long-haul applications over the road powered by a fuel cell, and we're making short-haul versions of those trucks powered by batteries, fleets are our target customers. That's who we've been talking to from the beginning. If you look at our reservation base for the fuel cell truck, those are largely very large fleets. We've had an arrangement with Anheuser-Busch for several years now, where they will be our pilot customer for the fuel cell trucks. They've got a large fleet and have ordered 800 trucks from us. Those are our target customers. We're looking at large fleets as a target customer, and that's the people we've been talking to so far, and we'll continue to focus on them.
Now, do you have orders from large fleets as well, Mark? And if so, can you give us any more details on how many or what kind of size the bulk order would be?
Well, because they are large fleets, the orders tend to be large. You know, we're in our current backlog, we have an order for the fuel cell truck that's 5,000 just from one fleet. Anheuser-Busch is 800. That gives you an indication of the order size. That's the magnitude of the orders.
Can you give us a sense of your confidence in the cash you have on hand that'll get you, despite kind of losses for now, get you through to production? What's your confidence level?
Well, obviously, we've got some big name investors, and they've looked very carefully at our plan for where we're going to get the cash and how we're going to spend it. And that's why I think our earnings were actually really positive. We spent less cash than people expected. Shows good discipline, and we're going to continue to show that going forward. We have almost $1 billion, 900 million plus will be on hand once we have finished calling for the warrants. That will be enough to get us through our plan for the next year plus. And we've told all of these investors that we'll be back for another tranche of fundraising sometime next year, most likely. And then we've got a plan for getting us to revenue that's very robust and has been vetted completely by our large investors.
It does sound as though you may be close to making an announcement about one or more OEM partners. When you say that kind of 1 year horizon you give investors, can we assume that at the end of that year you are producing trucks, that trucks are on the road?
Well, we have prototypes that are in testing now. We have prototypes on the track. We actually hauled a load on public roads for Anheuser-Busch a few months ago. That's just going to continue to increase. We've got additional prototypes coming off the line in the next 6 to 8 weeks. They'll be on the track pretty soon. We have another batch of prototypes behind that. You're going to see increasingly, you're going to see more and more vehicles out there as time goes on. We have a steady schedule of additional vehicles coming out.
Now, a lot has been made of the $37,000 figure, but how much revenue do you expect to record in 2021, Mark?
2021 is when we actually do start customer sales. So we intend to be delivering versions of the Nikola Tre battery electric vehicle in 2021. So by the end of next year, you'll be seeing revenue. So we should have good revenue by the end of the year next year.
Good revenue. So can you give us anything a little bit more than that?
Well, it'll be substantial. I couldn't give you a specific number, but it's not, it'll be material.
Mark, I think it's safe to say that one of the reasons we've seen disappointment in the share price post your earnings is that we're still not getting any hard news out of you by way of announcements of partners or timelines to turning reservations into sales and trucks on the road. Do you worry that your valuation is out of line with the timing, that it got out a little in front of where you actually are in the process here?
We're very pleased with the reception we got from the capital market once we were listed. Obviously, the stock has been volatile, but as you can see, it's settled down a little bit and it's in a range. And the market's going to continue to tell us what that range will be. But we think as we continue to hit our milestones, and we were very clear on the earnings call about what those milestones are going forward, as we continue to hit our milestones, we think that that's going to continue to build the fundamental value that's there. And then if we have further announcements, which we will have further announcements, you'll see upside there.
Now, Mark, you mentioned earlier that people do compare you sometimes with Tesla, and I'm sure it must be frustrating and tedious oftentimes. At the same time, you can't ignore the fact that there are very definite similarities in terms of maybe, how a founder acts sometimes or how the stock acts sometimes. What are you learning from Tesla and from Elon Musk that you're going to put to use at Nikola?
Well, we've learned a lot from them, and of course, they've done a lot in pathfinding for all of us in this space and also for mankind. We have, I think, increasing confidence as a species that we're going to be able to get off of fossil fuels because of the success of Tesla. They've made zero emissions actually work, and given, I think, a lot of hope and confidence that people like us can also help make that happen. And there's plenty of room for a number of competitors in this space. Getting the world off fossil fuels is going to be a huge effort for us as mankind, and it's going to take a lot of us. And that's one of the reasons for our partner strategy. We know that we're not going to be able to do this alone.